Hey everybody, this is Adam Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology, and you're listening to my sun sign horoscopes for the month of September. This is the horoscope for Gemini. So every month I've been writing sun sign horoscopes for a little over a year now, and I've decided to expand them and do a brief version of the horoscopes on my YouTube channel. So I've been branching out into YouTube work since like last December as a way of sort of trying to expand my work and branch out to new people, new audience, and everything like that. Although most of what I've done has been written and usually through Facebook. So yeah, so with that being said, I hope you enjoy this. And I want to start by showing you where you can find the written edition of the horoscope if you care to take a look at that, or if you'd like to have that as a reference to look back at over the course of the month. Plus, I want to tell you a little bit about Astrograph. I work for them every month. So this is astrograph.com, and you can go to the horoscopes tab and read what Henry Seltzer, who's the owner and founder of Astrograph, has to say about your month ahead. He does a little overview, which is really nice. And you can also sign up for their newsletter and get updates. He's a great writer, one of the original inspirations for my own work, you might say. Click on the glyph for Gemini or whatever your sun or rising sign might be. You can always read for either. And then you'll find the written content for the month. So these are for August, but the September ones will be up shortly. So at any rate, you can check that out. The other thing that I recommend is that you will find that Astrograph also has a software called Time Passages. And Time Passages is super great. Let's see, here we go. Here it is. Time Passages software is a super great software program for astrologers or students of astrology or total newcomers to astrology that allows you to cast your own birth charts. So if you don't have that, I would highly recommend it. They have a variety of levels and phone apps or computer apps. I use Time Passages. I also use SolarFire, but Time Passages is the more cost-efficient of the two. So with that being said, we'll switch over now and let's go ahead and dive into your horoscope for the month ahead. So the month gets started around September 3rd. The planet Mercury, your home planet, rules your sign of Gemini, is going to be getting into a sextile with Venus in Libra. And that's happening between your 3rd and 5th house. I'm going to actually annotate and show you this. Here's Mercury, and it's connecting to Venus in Libra in the 5th house. Now, first of all, with Mercury and Leo to start the month, you might be feeling a little bit more bold, a little bit more confident. You have to be careful of not being sort of egotistical or being too theatrical or dramatic. With your home planet in the sign of the Lion, there can be a little bit of sort of flamboyance in the air. But it's in a good house, the 3rd house, the house of the mind, the house of messages and messengers, of writing, learning, thinking, speaking. And it's connecting with Venus in the 5th house of creativity. So it's a really nice moment for creative projects or finding, for everybody, but everybody in general, it's a nice time for diplomacy, making deals, negotiations going well or smoothly, communicating with better efficiency or greater ease. So it's a good time to make a deal or to get along with someone, to go out with somebody. You might be feeling more charming. This might have a little bit of a romantic quality to it. So you may be more attractive, or you may be speaking in a way that gains more attention right now. Again, great time for creative things, for performance in the arts, also for flirtation and romance. So it's a nice little transit. Could also involve things, peripheral topics, or like siblings or neighbors, as well as children or pregnancy. All of those kinds of topics might also be sort of in the air to start the month. Now, from there, the month rolls forward, and Venus in Libra is then on September 8th, is then going to move into a square with Mars in Capricorn in the 8th house. So Venus-Mars square can bring up some sexual tension or creative tension or some element of conflict or stress in relationships, Venus and Mars being sort of masculine and feminine. So there might be a little bit of tension there. But generally speaking, this tension could be fruitful or productive. You might find that, again, some form of collaboration or compromise is possible, but it's a little bit like the tango dance. You know, the Venus Mars has a passion to it and an intensity where you could step on one another's toes in relationships right now of any kind. But if you do it correctly, there's also kind of a, working together with great effect kind of feeling. Fifth house, again, very creative house. It's a house that centers around joy, romance, beauty. Eighth house, a little bit more subversive, could be some more controversial or taboo kinds of things that come up. Subjects of death, fear, mortality, rebirth, some heavier things in the eighth. But with both of these planets culminating in their signs, the 29th degree of Libra and the 29th degree of Capricorn, there may be a sense of something coming to a head, and it may create some necessary kind of transformation that, even if it's a little tense in the moment, it's probably going to be for the better. So we'll go from there to the very next day, which is going to give us a new moon in the fourth house of home, family, property, family issues in general, your parents. And it's opposite to Neptune in the 10th house of career up here. So this is setting the tone for the moon cycle to come, emphasizing the topics of home, family, property, ancestral karma, parents, land, stuff like that, the past. But it's also intimately connected to Neptune in your career house. So there might be some questions about where am I living or what am I doing for work, or changes in the professional life that could be confusing or creating some element of uncertainty around things back at home, or things at home could be changing, creating some level of uncertainty in the workplace. But the work-home life balance or issues or topics are really highlighted. You want to be very careful that you don't collapse into either the extreme of being way too overly analytical with Mercury, your home planet, in Virgo during this time, or on the other side of things, Neptune in Pisces, where you lose your grounding, or you kind of aren't being discerning enough with the kinds of decisions or choices that you're making. So that energy comes through around September 9th. Now going forward from there, on September 12th, what's going to happen is the planet Venus is going to oppose the planet Uranus. Now, first of all, Venus is a planet that refers to sexuality, relationships, art, beauty, friendships. And so when it opposes rebellious, defiant, highly individualistic, eccentric, creative, and original Uranus, you might see some disruptive or sudden changes in your relationships. And there might be some themes of defiance or rebellion that are coming through really strongly. Sometimes relationships suddenly break up or change dramatically. A person or a person's tastes or interests or values can take a weird turn. There can also be an emphasis on non-traditional sexual or romantic or relational dynamics. You could also see some theme of sexual or relational healing taking place across the 6th and 12th house, or the idea of wanting to be of service, or maybe the topic of women and empowered women. Sometimes the workplace or employees could be featured. So those are a range of different topics that you could think about during this time. Now, by the way, I always add sometimes there's a lot chunked into each part. So one thing that I'd recommend is, if it's coming in, it's like, wow, that's a lot. Just pause, re-listen to one section that I delineate out by the dates and certain transits. Listen to them one at a time, and you'll be able to pick up more if you listen to it a few times. And then you can always, for me, writing down notes sort of solidifies all of it. And then you can look back at it over the month or come back to this video a few times. So those are the kinds of energies present around, September 12th. And then we get, let's see, going forward to September 18th, Mars then gets in on the fun. And from your 9th house will be square to Uranus in your 12th house. So here again, the themes of individuality, independence, innovation, breaking from the status quo, doing things outside of the box, that kind of energy is really strong when Uranus is in the mix, especially with Mars, who's very assertive and yang-like. So Mars entering your 9th house of higher education, spirituality, religion, beliefs, long journeys, travel, foreign countries, could be emphasizing some level of spiritual change or transformation that you're going through right now, or a change philosophically, or becoming really impassioned about something that you believe or something that you're studying, a political conviction perhaps. It's very strong and charged up. Adventure and the desire to plan or go on or take some kind of adventure, pushing yourself beyond your limits. You want to be careful of being excessive or too forceful or too impulsive, because it could be a little bit reckless around this time. All right, so that's September 18th. Then we go forward to September 22nd into the 23rd. You're going to see the planet, the sun. We call all of the planets, all in astrology, all of the celestial objects are called planets, even though it's, we know that the sun is a star. September 22nd to 23rd, it'll be the fall equinox, which tones the entire autumn season, the first 30 days of which the sun will be passing through Libra in your 5th house. And that's the house of creativity, the arts, children, recreation, pleasure. So those topics are going to be really amplified in a sense for you throughout the entire autumn season, but the next 30 days especially. And you'll feel that the entrance of the sun into the 5th, a little bit more introspective time of year when the autumn comes around, but also highly creative and interested in themes like balance, justice, beauty, fairness, and maybe some specific connection to creativity, or trying to figure out, the emphasis might be placed on your personal forms of self-expression, possibly the topics of children and pregnancy, etc. And then last but not least, you're also on September 24th, there's a full moon in Aries in your 11th house, and this is opposite the sun in Libra in the 5th house, and both are creating a T-square to Saturn in the 8th house. A very powerful full moon. It'll be concentrated in the 11th house, and the 11th house is a house of friends, groups, benefactors or allies, as well as your future dreams or aspirations. Now, considering that your personal signifier Mercury is in Libra during this time, you might be trying to figure out how to integrate or incorporate elements of your own creative, artistic needs or ideas into the midst of a group setting of some kind that is more competitive. And you might be asked to be the mediator or peacekeeper within a group right now, or you might be dealing with different kinds of creative conflicts within relationships, or you might also be looking at, with the Saturn in the 8th house, you might be forced to look at things that you don't want to look at. Saturn in the 8th kind of has that, you have to look at this, you have to be an adult, you have to grow up, you have to look at the darker or the more subversive areas of life, which the 8th house often represents, especially either in groups or in social settings and within yourself sort of simultaneously. It's a pretty intense full moon, may have an impact on your social life, and may ask you to figure out how to hold the balance within yourself with Mercury, or again, your home planet in Libra. You're definitely going to be faced with maybe some intense people or situations or circumstances, and figuring out how to balance different needs within yourself or within the environment. So that's a pretty intense full moon to end the month. So that's what I've got for you guys. I hope that this was interesting. I hope you Geminis have a great month. And let me just remind you that you can also check out more of my own work, if I go, let's see here. Here we go. Oops, no. We'll just, well, you know what? I can't get it to work, so I'll just tell you to go to nightlightastrology.com. That's my, oh, here it is. So this is nightlightastrology.com, which is my website, and you can check out everything that I'm up to there. Check out the readings tab. Check out my upcoming courses in November. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime at nightlightastrology@gmail.com. All right. I hope you guys have a great month. Take care, everyone.